NASA has plans about Mars. That is, before sending people on Mars, a base will be made on Moon so that the process of reaching Mars becomes shorter. SpaceX founder Elon Musk wants to get this fam in his own name. In addition, European and Russian space agencies also talk about sending people to Mars. But after landing in the harsh atmosphere of Mars, how will humans live there? Because on the other hand, the biggest life need is oxygen is not available on Mars. What is NASA's way of making oxygen and the way of International Space Station to make oxygen? Why would not that work on Mars? Welcome back to Topotrove's videos. Viewers, there are many reasons behind the desire to live on Mars, which are scientific exploration and space curiosity factors, but there is also a compulsion or fear in the midst of these desires. That is, that the human race should not die because of any disaster on Earth. For example, 6.5 billion years ago, dinosaurs had been eliminated from our world. And it is also possible that one example of which we are seeing is climate change on Earth. This is probably the biggest reason that in the coming time someone will be Neil Armstrong of Mars. On the one hand, Elon Musk had originally planned in 2026 to colonize Mars, but now he has been predicted to colonize Mars in 2029. On the other hand, NASA has also planned to land humans on Mars in 2030. But the question is not who will go to Mars first. The question is how humans will be able to live after going to Mars. Of course, Mars has many properties that are similar to Earth. For example, 1 day of Mars, which is also called Martian Day or so. Its length compared to Earth is only 39 minutes longer. There are different seasons on Mars and on Earth as well. In addition, there are ice caps on Earth's poles and also on Mars' poles as well. There is an atmosphere on Earth, although it is thin on Mars. But there is definitely an atmosphere. But one thing that is not enough for humans to live on Mars is oxygen. So how will this oxygen gas be made on Mars? Not for 1 or 2 people, but to colonize a whole colony of Mars. When they thought to keeping humans alive in extreme situations, the first thing that comes to mind is the IS means International Space Station. In harsh space conditions, it is 25 years old, and it has been constantly giving people oxygen and fresh water. In International Space Station, 4 to 5 astronauts are present at all times, whose daily water requirement is at least 45 liters, which is 1350 liters per month and 16,200 liters per year. In addition, 1,000 kg of oxygen gas is used annually on the ISS. How is so much water and oxygen made in space 400 kilometers away from Earth? There are 2 systems in the IS for this work. One is the water reclamation system and the other is the oxygen generation system. To understand why these 2 systems cannot be installed on Mars, we must first know how these systems work. The water reclamation system collects water from human waste, means urine, sweat, and humidity, and then cleanses it and makes it able to be drunk again. Astronaut Douglas Wellock said on one occasion that the next day's coffee is made from our yesterday's coffee. The ARS system purifies the water already present in the ISS and makes it able to be used again. And in this way, 98 of the water is saved from being wasted. On the second number is the oxygen generation system. This system takes a little water from the WRs and then makes it oxygen to breathe through a special process. We had studied this simple process in the 5th class, which is called electrolysis. Electrical current is passed through the water, which turns the water into oxygen gas and hydrogen gas. Oxygen gas is used to breathe, but hydrogen is a very dangerous and inflammable gas that can burn the entire ISS in seconds. This hydrogen gas is not wasted, but it is put into another system, which is called the Sabatier system. This system accumulates the waste carbon dioxide of the astronauts present in the ISS, then mixes it with hydrogen gas and makes water, methane gas and a little heat from it. Water is brought back into use, heat is put into the heat management system, but methane gas, which is considered very important on the Earth, is taken out of the ISS into space. Methane gas is also a kind of fuel. It can be used to generate energy and heat, but it is wasted because it needs oxygen to burn it, and oxygen is the most valuable thing on the ISS. If we look at the entire process of oxygen and water of the IS station, then it depends on refueling missions, because it is 98 efficient, but still there are losses and leakages in every system. That is why every 6 months or after a year, water and oxygen are brought from the ground and put into the IS station. These refueling missions are very costly, in which the cost of delivering only 1 liter of water 400 kilometers away is more than $2,500. So, 22.5 billion kilometers away on Mars, it is not cost effective to make oxygen by using this process. For this, it will have to be made a system that uses the resources available on Mars and makes oxygen from it. In 2021, NASA's Perseverance rover was sent to Mars and a device was installed for this experiment. It is called the MOXIE, means Mars Oxygen In Situ Experiment, because the water source in the ISS is refueling, but to find water on Mars, it will have to go to its polar caps or drill many feet down and remove ice. That is why MOXIE uses carbon dioxide from the atmosphere of Mars to make oxygen from it. In simple words, it is 95% carbon dioxide in the atmosphere of Mars. The carbon dioxide is pumped from the atmosphere of MOXIE and pressurized. Then it is put into an electrolyzer and heated at 800 degrees Celsius temperatures. This separates the oxygen gas from the carbon dioxide. This electrolyzer is made of gold, because gold is an excellent heat conductor which protects the other parts of Perseverance from heat. In this process, carbon dioxide is also produced along with oxygen, gas, carbon monoxide. The disadvantage of this is that if carbon is completely separated in this process, then it can also form a layer of carbon, as we've seen below the cooking pan, and this layer will not delay in damaging Perseverance. That is why this process is performed with great care, but how much oxygen does MOXIE produce on Mars at a time? In this process, MOXIE needs a lot of energy. That is why NASA only runs it once, when energy is saved from the solar panels. So far, it has only made 122 grams of oxygen, which can keep a person alive for only 3.5 hours. If we want to produce more oxygen on Mars through this system, then you will need a large version of MOXIE for that, and a large power plant to run it. And this is the biggest challenge so far. Now the thing to understand here is that MOXIE compresses carbon dioxide first with the help of a compressor, then heats it at 800 degrees Celsius. A lot of energy is required for both these processes. Scientists are working on a future technology for the solution of this problem, in which the molecule of carbon dioxide can be broken at a low temperature, not by heating the carbon dioxide, but by creating vibrations in it. The oxygen molecule will be separated from it. For now, this technology has been tested in the lab, but due to the high atmospheric pressure and temperature of the Earth, it is not possible to do this experiment on Earth. But the atmosphere of Mars is absolutely perfect for this task. No matter what the technology is, our target is that we have to use such a thing on Mars to make oxygen that is present there. And the device that will make this oxygen is not dependent on Earth, because the ISS is only 400 kilometers away from Earth. If the oxygen generation system there is damaged, then sending astronauts back to Earth is not such a big problem. They can wear their emergency suits and wait for refueling for a few hours and can go back to Earth. But if after colonization on Mars, there is a problem in the oxygen generation machine, then there will be no refueling option and it will not be so easy to go back to Earth. I hope you will also like and share this video of Topotrove. Thank you very much for your loving comments. See you in the next wonderful video.